Good morning, day 8. Today is about self doubt. So, we're going to focus on how self doubt holds us back. And self doubt is just a feeling that, self doubt is a thought that goes into a feeling. And we're going to talk about the one mistake that most people make. So self doubt is going to show up anytime you're stretching, anytime you're trying to grow into a new version of yourself. But what happens is we treat that doubt as the truth about who we are. We treat it as the final judgment. When we're trying to work out and we may miss a day, the self doubt says, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. You're going to fail." We have an ambitious goal, and the chatter is going on. And what I've come to realize is self-doubt is not a final verdict. It's more so just a sign that you're in a different state of being. You're in stretch mode. You're in growth mode. And you're stepping into a new version of yourself that's unfamiliar. And naturally, your brain is going to want to preserve what is familiar. You see, your brain and your body, they're designed to keep you alive. Not to keep you feeling good, but to keep you safe. And so any new experience, any new opportunity, it's going to automatically be flagged as suspicious, even dangerous, even the good things that you want. And that's why when you grow big, you get that identity check, if you will. It's just there to keep you alive and comfortable. And it's always going to show up before growth, not failure. Have you thought about that before? You never get self-doubt in moments of failure. And you never feel like an imposter in moments of failure. Imposter syndrome typically comes when we're climbing or clawing at success. And I think it's our body saying, "Hey, we haven't done this before. What are you doing?" So it's all about asking the right question too. Because sometimes when we start going back and forth, debating, negotiating with ourselves, we're just asking the wrong questions. And so in those moments, some questions that we have to ask is this true? Am I really not ready? Am I really not good enough? I like to compare it or combine it with the opposite of what God's truth is. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, no. God hasn't given me the spirit of fear. Oh, you're not ready. Well, God will equip me. Oh, you're not good enough. Well, God made me and God trusted me with this, so God must know something that I don't know. And you can ask other questions, like what part of me is being stretched? And is this the part of me that should stay quiet or speak up? That part that plays small, is this the part of me that's showing up right now? And just be honest. Once you start to see this self-doubt as a signal, as a sign, it starts to lose its power. Because truth has power. And if you assign this chatter, this self-doubt as truth, you've given it power. So, and this is something that we all live. And I think the first shift that needs to be made is, as I said, to stop negotiating with yourself on the doubt. Stop debating it and start seeing the growth. Every single time I've every single move, every single growth that has occurred in my life, it came with the self-doubt. When I decided I was going to wake up at 3 a.m., of course, the chatter started going off. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you sure this is going to be good for you? Blah, 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 blah. And it was good for me at that time because I got so much done in the morning. When I decided I was going to live a certain lifestyle, as far as my gym routine, of course, the self-doubt came in. Well, you're paying all this money for membership. It's so expensive. And that is the current version of yourself trying to protect your finances, trying to protect your body because it doesn't know any better. But the truth is, the version of you that is growing, it sees and is prepared for that growth. And it's just like the caterpillar in the cocoon. It doesn't feel good when it's stretching out. It feels like everything is probably falling apart, but that pressure is exactly how it grows its wings. And I think sometimes we get in our own version of the cocoon, the discomfort, the anxiety, the doubt, and that's not there to punish. That's there because we are growing into something more. So let's take a moment and reflect on that. When has self-doubt actually shown up right before something good happened in your life? And what if that feeling was less about fear and more about growth? And another thing that is important is, I call it evidence stacking. Because when that doubt comes, if you have proof, when you go into the gym and you have evidence, it builds confidence. And affirmations are good. Self-talk is great. I got this, I'm confident, but your brain and internal system, they're not going to only be moved by encouraging words. They want proof. And they're going to quietly ask, do we have any real evidence that we can handle this? Do we have any proof? Because without evidence, the doubt just gets stronger the more you try to talk to yourself, or the more you try to talk yourself out of it. And that's why they say faith without works is dead. And so real confidence comes after the action. You think about David and Goliath. He had already done so many things based on what God told him to do. So he had the confidence. And so we look at the small steps, and those are the confidence builders. And that's why, in the example I gave the other day about the two people who started off doing one push-up and the other guy said he'd do 30, that's why the one that did one, he survived and he was successful. Because the guy that was trying to do too much, he was moved by motivation, ambition, maybe even guilt. And those things, they only last for so long. They wear out. They get you through the first few days. Okay, and the first guy doing the one push-up, two push-ups, he was probably doing that too. But the biggest difference is he was building trust. Okay, and that difference is the biggest change. Because when you're trying to do something and you're just feeling motivation, the minute you encounter failure, there's an identity conflict. And the brain now interprets that task as a threat instead of a lifestyle. But the guy who was just doing the one, remember, survival matters more in the beginning. And now his system is saying, oh, we can do this. There's no pain. There's no overwhelm. And that repetition becomes possible. And the repetition creates the familiarity, which reduces the resistance. So in the beginning, as he stayed consistent, that was what created his identity, the consistency. And then in the beginning, the growth was invisible. But what's happening in those first 30 days is profound. The first day, I'm just trying to work out. After 2 weeks, I've done this for 2 weeks straight. At day 30, I don't miss anymore. This is who I am. I'm becoming someone who trains. After 60 days, his self-talk was, oh, I'm disciplined. And the muscle grew. The identity grew first. And that's why we started small in this challenge. Because if we can't handle the small things, if we can't outperform on little things in 30 days, it's going to be a big challenge for us to do anything else. And that's what the evidence is all about. Real confidence comes after action, not before. So every small step that you take, you look at it as a deposit of proof. And that proof is going to update how you see yourself. So today, ask yourself, what small piece of evidence can I give myself today? What small action can I take? And if I need to make a decision, what's one choice I can make today without trying to debate and be 100%? And you don't need a massive leap, just enough movement to show your brain, see, we did something like this and we did it, we're okay. The next thing is self-doubt typically stays in the gap. And we talked about the gap a few days ago. And the gap is where is the jump between where you are today and that future version of yourself. And it doesn't come from lack of ability. That gap is not necessarily the lack of ability. Your actions start moving forward, based on the confidence, but your old self-image hasn't caught up yet. And what that is friction. You want to be something. You have the ability to be something, but you're not there, and that's friction. You think to yourself, well, that future version of me is someone confident who speaks up in meetings, but the old identity says, oh no, that's not who you are today. So the good news is, every time that you take action and you build that evidence, the evidence slowly updates the identity. And when you finally get to where a sense of who you are matches what you're doing, the doubt loses its place. So you're not fighting the doubt directly. All you're doing is closing that inner gap. And again, asking better questions. Where in my life is my behavior already ahead of where I see myself? So you can see yourself as a world-class Olympic gymnast. What would it look like if your identity caught up to the actions? And who am I becoming through these small daily choices? And the final thing is, well, no, not the final thing. I would say another thing is time. Don't give the doubt enough time to grow strong. Instead, I heard an analogy. You can feed one of two monsters, either your faith or your fear, but they have to be fed. So what are you feeding today? Your faith or your fear? And that doubt is part of the fear. When you give self-doubt time to sit, think, and build a strong case against you, it gets stronger. And so the longer your doubt hangs around without action, the stronger and more convincing it's going to get. So think about this. And you can use this as a rule. When self-doubt does show up, if it shows up, give yourself some time, maybe an hour or 24 hours, and take one clear next step. Not the whole plan, just the next step. Whether it's sending an email, making a phone call, whatever it is. Because forward movement matters more than perfection. You don't have to be perfect. Just take one small step. And action is going to break that analysis paralysis, the overthinking. Action says we're not stuck, we're moving. Like milk left out too long. Doubt spoils if you let it sit. Keep it fresh by acting quickly. So where have I let doubt sit too long and talk me out of moving? And again, small steps. What's the next small step I can take? So at the end of the day, we need to. I heard someone say that they were suppressing some of the fears and the doubts, and that's one approach. But another approach I would like for you guys to consider is outgrowing it. And I think that's the part where liberation comes, because we can't completely eliminate or suppress the self-doubt or never feel it again, because that can get us feeling kind of stuck. But if we outgrow it, when it shows up, we just keep moving. And as you keep taking steps, building evidence, and letting your identity expand, doubt becomes less relevant. It doesn't fit. Yeah, you're going to still doubt, but it's going to be so small compared to your confidence that it won't matter. And if you just think about the things that used to scare you but are normal, like when you first started driving a car, for those of us that drive, it was scary. Your first day at school, and you didn't destroy the fear. You just grew past it. Practice, experience, and doubt still comes, okay? I still deal with doubt just about every week, every day sometimes, but it doesn't control me like it used to. And I've seen what's on the other side of the stretch way too many times, so I know the freedom that's on the other side of being clear. So finally, what kind of person does this current doubt no longer make sense for? There's a future version of you that this doubt is ridiculous, okay? And you got to tap into that person that you're becoming that makes those doubts feel outdated. And if you keep moving, even when the doubt is there, eventually you're going to meet a version of yourself down the road. And there's something that life is calling you to outgrow right now. So don't think that self-doubt means you're broken. It just means you're growing. And your mind is doing exactly what it's designed to do, protect you. So take the next step. You were made for more than just being small and staying safe. So every time you move forward, there's a vote. It's saying, hey, I'm that person who moves forward in life, and there's a bigger life waiting for you. Now take the next step.